What's up, everybody? I'm gonna play a little music, let you get in a good vibe before we really get going. Kind of bob your head a little bit before we start talking about, can you own the metaverse? If anybody that's listening can, in that bottom right-hand corner of your screen, if you can tweet out the room, that will help out. Get some people in here, get some good convo going, good conversation going about the metaverse, NFTs, talking about how you can own the metaverse. Sounds so dominating. Own it. Also, I'd love to know, you can just do it with emojis if you don't want to come up and speak, and I invite you all to come up and speak. Do you like whenever I have like this music on here, or is it distracting and you're like, Steven, voice of DeFi, just quit it with the stuff? Because I can like tell, I like to have sound effects whenever I do my, okay, there, I see a little bit of something. I like to have sound effects where I can, if I like say something funny, yeah, I can do that. Or if I have like an announcement I want to make, I can do that. So it's a little long of a drum roll. Anyway, yeah, I like to have some good sound effects on it, and it changes it up a little bit, makes our spaces a little bit more unique than others. So yeah, whenever yeah, there we go. Whenever I have a big announcement, I don't know, I've got a sound effect for just a thing. So yeah, I need to up my game a little bit and have some more sound effects. But welcome. Yeah, I appreciate you guys that are supporting my ridiculous sound effects with through emojis. It's almost like interpretive dance or something. But welcome everybody who's in here. This is the TRADERVERSE. We're going to call it the TRADERVERSE Power Hour for now. If any of you, maybe we need to outsource the name of this, but if you've been with us all week, Monday through Friday, I've been on here. Sometimes Christine Barnum has been on here with me, and we've talked NFTs. Why? Because TRADERVERSE is actually up in New York for NFT NYC. They've been learning everything they can. We've been learning everything we can about NFTs, but maybe even more networking is going on. Smart Rick, who many of you know, Zach, he's been up there and he gave a little bit of an update yesterday. Ivan from the TRADERVERSE team came in here yesterday, gave us a little bit of an update, telling us that it's almost more of a networking event than an education event while they're over there. So they've been getting a lot of interesting info from NFT NYC. And I've been talking about that all week. But what I want to talk about today is the metaverse, because that's become such a topic here recently, the metaverse. And it's become such a topic because of Facebook. Facebook wants to rebrand themselves as metaverse, which, do y'all feel like you're kind of slighted by that? Like it's like they're taking our name. They're taking, what we thought is a name that we have, metaverse. You can't make that a corporate name, Facebook, but that's what they're doing. Maybe we need to rebrand it and call it something different than metaverse, and then we'll have the cool name. But the metaverse, if nothing else, Facebook is giving more eyes and more ability to see the metaverse from different people that aren't in the space, that have ever been in here before. So that's a good thing to me. But what I want to talk about is it possible to own the metaverse? To you own the metaverse? And let me kind of explain myself here, and I'll use Facebook as an example. I can, I can look at Facebook and I can comment on Facebook and I can put posts on Facebook. I can do all of this on Facebook, but in the end, if Facebook wants to, they can delete my account. They can delete my posts. They can delete my account. Same with Twitter. They could, they could completely take away this space right now if they wanted to. So, who owns the content? Does Facebook own the content, or Twitter own the content, or do I own the content that I'm producing and I'm creating? My fire tweets that just make get so much engagement. That's not really true, but they do. They have complete control over it. But instead, Facebook owns it. But how about in the metaverse? Whenever maybe I could own it, whenever it's decentralized. What if I got tipped? What if you gave me some sort of tipping? I'm not asking for tips here, by the way, but what if I got some sort of currency, some sort of remuneration for my content being put out? And we see that happen with YouTube and things like that, but that's still centralized. But if you are, I'm thinking like play to earn games. that almost is like in Facebook with you getting, shares of Facebook stock for contributing to their platform. Because that's what you're doing whenever you're on Facebook or Twitter. You're making it a better community. You're bringing in all your friends and all your followers, and you're making it a better community to be in. And that in the metaverse, it kind of fell on its head because it's decentralized. You may be the one that kind of feels that, ownership of getting something. You put out the content and then you could be getting it back. Let's say you put out an NFT. Okay, here's a great way. You're a creator, you make an NFT. You make an NFT, I'm thinking art NFTs. There's certainly utilities that can come from NFTs as well. But let's say you have art and you're able to use your art, you sell it within the metaverse, you have conversations with people in the metaverse, and then through that, you sell it. Okay, you actually make money, and you have some sort of crypto that comes from that. That to me is a different world of the metaverse. Okay, where it's making it where you own something. Think about this, and I'd love to get you guys comments on this here in a moment. How about if I have a car that I buy in a metaverse game? Okay, really cool car, right? I'm going to get an awesome paint job. I'm going to get the best wheels on this car. It's going to be the fastest car that you can possibly imagine, right? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be everything you ever want. Win Moon, win Lambo. It's this one inside the metaverse, and all you will be jealous of my amazing car. And I race it, and I beat every one of you, okay? Because I own this amazing car, and I've bought it. It's an NFT. It's my car within the metaverse, okay? But eventually, let's say something changes in my life. I have kids. I get married. I get a girlfriend. All kinds of things that change your life circumstances. I get a new job. Whatever makes it where you don't have enough time. And I think, well, I've got this super fast car in the metaverse. I've spent all this time upgrading it. I've played a lot, so I can earn enough to be able to get new tires and get the fuzzy dice hanging from the rearview mirror. I have all of those things on there, and then in the end, because of that, I can't use it, and I feel like I've got a valuable asset here, and it just sucks that I'm just going to have to turn off the game and never use it ever again. That's the way it's been? But in the metaverse, no. If I want to sell it to one of you, okay, let me pick somebody. Chris, I see Chris there. If I want to sell that car to Chris, I can do that. It's an asset. I own it. I can sell it to him, and then he can dominate all of you. Okay, he can race and just completely destroy all of you with this awesome car. How about I say, the job I have is just temporary, and I'm going to get back into the game. You can actually rent out your NFTs to somebody. I mean, it's not just ownership is complete and done. Just like if you own a house, you can choose to not live in that house and have somebody rent it, or you can choose to have somebody rent your in real life car, and then they can use it for just a month, 2 months, a few years, and then whenever they're through renting it, it's yours again, and you've actually made a profit. Maybe you got more money just from renting. Let's think about real estate. Some landlords decide that they want to buy a lot of property and then rent it out rather than flip it. You've got your house flippers that get a house, make it real nice, and then sell it for a profit. But then you have other people that say, well, I'm going to buy the house, make it real nice. To afford the payment, I'm going to rent it out, and then I'll get the income from the rent, and that'll help me buy and own it. All of this can still happen in the metaverse through NFTs. We've had virtual worlds before, okay? Oculus has had a virtual world, right? There's different, communities you can join with virtual reality, with VR, through Oculus, through, whatever platform you're doing. But the blockchain changes things to where it makes it to where maybe I can actually own something, rent something, maybe view sporting events in a different way, maybe view esports in a different way. Think about esports. It's getting to be a bigger and bigger industry. People watching, basically professional gamers play games. What if me and you held NFT tickets to get into a championship match of Call of Duty or, whatever, Fortnite, whatever, we're going to go see. And we meet up in the metaverse. We use our NFT tickets to go into an actual arena within the metaverse. And then we watch the game played out in front of us. I'm talking to you to my left and right, just like I'm in seats. They actually already have something like that in Oculus. So real quick, I want to give just an opportunity for anybody to join in here and join in on the conversation. This is the TRADERVERSE Power Hour. We're kind of growing our community as we go. There's been times when I have Christine in here, and we have just all kinds of people because she's got such a great following. But whenever she's not in here, we'll go from a handful of people, and now we're getting a few more. So we're growing every day. TRADERVERSE is a social network for traders. It's made by traders. It's going to be for traders. It'll have some automation in it or some AI parts to it. It'll have charting in it. And of course, a social aspect to it to where you can hear things like this, because that's another thing that Traderverse is offering is every day I'll be in here giving you, whatever content the news of the day possibly can be Monday through Friday at this time. We'll also do some AMAs where we can have some good people that really just know the industry. I mean, I'm just an idiot behind a microphone, but we'll bring on some people on here that are truly experienced in either token creation or token, coin projects, and we'll talk to them as well. So yeah, if any of you would like to speak on the metaverse, what you think some possibilities are, or just kind of empty your brain a little bit, raise your hand, and I would love to be able to hear from you, and we'll continue our conversation. But in the metaverse with NFTs, don't you think that a virtual world where you can get in and actually have a social component with people will make this bigger of a deal than it's ever been before? Let me give you an example of my experience with a non-blockchain based virtual world. Oculus, if you're familiar with them, they're the Facebook-owned group that has virtual reality. They actually, had a keynote speech where they were going to say what their latest products were. You know how these things go. Somebody's on stage, everybody imagined Steve Jobs on stage announcing the iPhone. And it was the Oculus, CEO, whoever was there. And I was in the crowd. And you were able to actually, with your headset, sit in the crowd. You could have people on your left and your right, and you could talk to them while the person was speaking about what they were speaking. And that was really cool where I could do that. Even cooler was I looked to my left, and it's the CTO of Oculus, John Carmack, sitting in there right next to me. And I was able to speak with him. I was like, well, why aren't you up there? You're the CTO of Oculus. And he's like, oh, man, I'm just kind of here. They were going to invite me up here. But I ended up being next to, kind of a gaming legend. He's the founder of id Studios. And I was able to sit right next to him, and I'm telling you the story as if I was just sitting right next to him in real life. It was kind of cool. You get next to a celebrity virtually, and it was still cool. So that kind of gives me of what this can be as far as a virtual world. But whenever we're talking metaverse, a lot of times we're talking a virtual world, but with the blockchain. And the blockchain, the NFTs inside the metaverse are what is going to really change things. I didn't own anything in that experience that I was telling you about with Oculus. I didn't own any of that. Instead, in the metaverse, I might be able to own tickets to get to an event. I might own the car that it takes to drive me there. Within the metaverse, I might be, can we date? Can we do Tinder inside the metaverse? Can you swipe right in the metaverse? Yeah. Why not? Why not? You can, maybe you say, hey, meet me over by the beach, and let's talk and get to know each other. And you could absolutely do that. Could there be careers in the metaverse? Okay, I talked about this from my personal account last night. Which, by the way, if any of you, my name's Steven. I go by the Voice of DeFi. I speak on this Traderverse account, but I also have my own personal account. You're always free to check that out as well. But what about careers inside the metaverse? I talked to a gentleman, the CEO of Star Atlas, the other day on a podcast of mine, and he said that inside the metaverse of Star Atlas, it's it's like Star Wars. You're always fighting against one another, and through that, everybody thinks that okay, if you actually can get into the metaverse and in there, you're going to have to be fighting somebody else. Okay, you're going to be shooting somebody with your lasers. You're going to have your spaceships, and you'll be in a battle. Well, he said that's not the case necessarily at all. He said if you wanted to, you could actually own a gas station to be refueling people's ship before they go out to battle. You could mine for the fuel, okay, and then you could give that out. And he says literally, you could be like having the corner gas station in your own town where you're just talking to people that are passing through and saying, "Oh, how you doing? What you about to go do?" We're about to go out and defeat whatever guild, and we're fueling up, getting ready. You talk to them, and it's just like a real business. You could literally own that business and make the connections and market your business of, hey, make sure you stop by, the Traderverse gas station, the Voice of DeFi's gas station, and that that could be a career. Is there a way that you could have a career of the medical industry? Maybe you could have somebody come in and you say, hey, I've got this rash right here on my left butt cheek. Okay, could somebody take a look at that? And through the metaverse, you might actually be able to get a real doctor to look at that rash that you've got that's just scorching on your left butt cheek. So many different ways. Not even okay. So there's another way of monetization within it. How about education? Where'd that doctor get learnt from? Where did he get his education from? the metaverse might create a way to get educated in ways that we have not even imagined. I've called a few other speakers up here, and if any of you else want to speak and just kind of get in the conversation, it's never as fun if it's just me, so I always encourage you to get in there. But I've got a couple speakers up here. I'll just see the first one here. Relvin, how are you doing? And you have any thoughts on the metaverse?
Hey, yeah, thank you for letting me up. I This is my first time actually like in a space and like kind of contributing. I saw this room pop up. I had just recently followed you. It's really interesting because I honestly am not a huge trader. I've been attempting to learn more as I go because I know, like crypto is growing and like this is something that we should definitely be like wrapping our heads around, and making sure that we invest into, because it's not going anywhere. But one of the things that I'm really big on is social media. I'm 26. I grew up with this whole social media boom. I got to see like the public kind of go into a certain social media, leave it for another one, and then expand themselves throughout several social media platforms. I help artists manage their social medias. So this topic, Facebook changing its name and seeing where they want to go with social media is extremely interesting to me. Like I am extremely fascinated by it. It seems like we're getting to the times where these movies once, they portrayed us being like in a virtual world in the future, and it seems like we're finally kind of getting there. But one of the topics you just covered, which was really interesting to me, and I was hoping you would, was careers. Like we saw social media start so many careers. Like not just like with influencers, but with like marketing companies and like the way they see micro influencers and macro influencers, and it just allowed people to get in their bag in a different way, and in a way that wasn't a 9 to 5.
I'm
So
I'm glad you brought that up because I think that the metaverse will open up like your generation that saw what social media can do. You've got people that are literally filthy rich from social media. And I think the metaverse is kind of that next iteration of that to where literally people could, I have a lack of a better term, live inside the metaverse and wanted to teach a yoga class or teach a dietary class. How about let's go with medical stuff. Let's say somebody's a educator of diabetics, and they help them to know how to analyze their blood sugar and things like that. All of that, you could be an educator inside the metaverse and have a career inside the metaverse. And that really, do you guys think that COVID, and maybe I'm asking you, Relvin, do you think that COVID like kind of put the gas on this to make this happen faster than it would have?
absolutely. I really genuinely do think so. I think COVID changed so much for us in terms of how we connect with one another and what we actually uh, are willing to invest in and put our energy towards. I think had this existed right before COVID, it would have it would have blown up if this had just dropped and we had a world where we can interact with each other without being physically in person or
Right.
physically next to one another. I think this would have been like a crazy boom. But I think this allowed for these companies, the pandemic allowed for these companies to see, okay, yeah, like I think this could really work. I think this is something we could really push the gas pedal on, and I think everyone's buying it. I think everyone's going to buy it. Like, and you said like as we were talking about earlier, like careers, like I've even been thinking about like as I work in the music industry, so I've been thinking about like, okay, so how can artists and music companies benefit from the metaverse? There be like, I know you can own a state in the metaverse. Could you also be a marketer in the metaverse? Could I market my artists? Will it be like digital billboards? Will there be like signs? Is there ways I can negotiate with people who own different real estate in this metaverse to where I can help put my artists onto certain platforms? What's it going to be like booking artists on like these virtual venues or whatnot? Like it's so interesting to me, and that's what I'm really trying to like. That's why I'm trying to learn more and understand more so I can ride this wave and be ahead of the curve.
No, I think you're getting a good understanding of it. So let's talk about you said the music industry and just let's look at how those would combine. Let's say somebody said, I'm going to do a virtual concert within the metaverse, and I'm talking a singer. So let's make it Drake. Pick your music artist that's going to do a giant concert that everybody's going to see. Jay-Z is going to be within the metaverse, and on the way to that, within the venue, and let's say they literally make you go in through a venue just like you might in a real concert place. And on the way to there could be things on the wall, advertisements. Okay. So you're talking marketing. Of course, they're going to, whoever creates the best metaverse, there's going to be several, whoever creates the best is probably going to monetize it very well. Will there be billboards? Of course there would be billboards, because that's just an opportunity. Your eyeballs, just like when you're driving down the road right now, are valuable to whatever they look at. You could see that. It might be an advertisement for, Tide Pods. It might be an advertisement for Apple. It could be an advertisement for shoes, anything like that. But also, just talking about getting recognition for artwork, why couldn't it's decentralized right now. If I want to get on a Times Square billboard, I have to know who to contact and that sort of thing. And it maybe isn't as decentralized as it could be, although I've seen plenty of token projects in Times Square. But if the same thing with an NFT, let's say you wanted to showcase an NFT artwork on a billboard or on a sign at a concert venue, there should be nothing keeping you from doing that. And I think that will completely change how advertising is done. Another thing I want to say about, just as we're imagining the future of what this could possibly be like, I think it'll be different than whatever. I'm like a real futurist. I can really imagine things getting pretty cool, pretty amazing in my head, right? But think about like in the 1960s, whenever like computers were first a thing, and somebody would explain what a computer is, and they'd say, well, it can do like a lot of calculations in a really short period of time. And I'm sure people thought, okay, that's neat, that's cool. But could they have ever imagined what we use computers for now? That literally I have in my kit a movie studio, a radio broadcasting unit for doing what I'm doing right now, calculator, in anything that I could possibly need. Now computers are needed. And would the person that even was putting together those mainframes that took up a whole room in the 60s been able to imagine what was going to happen today with computers? And the answer is no. So my question is, could I possibly not be able to think of what this metaverse could turn into now? I think I can think about what it's like. I'm telling you what I imagine of advertisements and things like that. But is it possible that whatever it is so greater and so abstract to me now that I can't even imagine it? Because that's the way now would be, 2021 would be like to those in the 1960s that were putting something revolutionary together in personal computers is revolutionary. And I'm sure people thought, this is what it can do. It's going to change business. We'll be able to do calculations like you've never imagined. And that was all true. But what it became was something so big and so, out there. Let me invite, I've had Relvin up here, and I still want to ask you a few questions, Relvin, if you don't mind continuing with the conversation. But anybody else in here that wants to jump on in here and give your thoughts on the metaverse and what it could be and how NFTs can change that, I want to be able to discuss that. Let me ask you this, Relvin. Like, are you in any formalized school, like in person, or is everything that you've ever done in the last few years virtual?
I would say just after the pandemic, everything became virtual.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and the reason why I asked that, because that is, I think education will be completely different in a metaverse. And imagine this. So let's say I want to be a doctor, okay? And I read through a book, even streaming video. I'm talking like today's learning. Lots of streaming video, lots of group meet over laptop, and that works pretty well. If you want to tell me how a medicine works at the cellular level inside my body, I can learn it from a book. I can learn it from streaming video. But what if I got into the metaverse and literally it transported me to where I'm standing amongst the cells of a diseased body, and I can see how that drug interacts with the cells and what proteins that changes and what different effects that makes? I can see it from like a cellular level. Okay. How much better am I going to understand how medicine works than in the traditional models? And you could imagine me and you just sitting there. We're both trying to be doctors, and you're saying, why does insulin make your blood sugar go down? And we're right there at the cell. And you're like, well, you see, the insulin goes right here into the cell, and that makes this change happen, which makes, oh, look over there, there's a glucose molecule. Look at what it's doing because of this insulin, which sounds like a silly idea, but I'm telling you, there's a reason that couldn't happen. And that's just with a medical thing, whether we're talking about fixing cars or, how to code or, even art. Let's say, what's really popular right now. I think I just thought of this idea. Any of you that are artists, think about this idea. It's really popular right now to have like a party. And I'll see this on a lot of times. My aunts will get together for this type of party, and they'll get together and they'll draw a certain painting, right? And it'll be a beautiful painting of like a vase with some flowers next to it. And they'll all have their own interpretation of what that became, right? Well, what if you had an NFT class, right? Where everybody went into the metaverse and you saw, people doing these different, these different drawings, trying to recreate what the teacher of the class is doing. They're teaching you art. They're telling you how to do something. But even within that, everybody's going to come away with their own variety of that flower pot, picture. And maybe maybe it's one of these cool 3D NFTs that look amazing. I would pay to go into this class because I want to know how to make a cool NFT like that. But so whether you're an artist or a doctor, or how about this, a musician, any of those type of things, those things can be taught in the metaverse for pay, right? Because whenever we have digital money, and what's better, you can get the best in the world. If I want to learn right now music, let's say I want to learn the piano, I can download an app. I'm sure there's some great apps to help me learn the piano. I can find the best piano teacher in my town, in my city, and I could get them to give me like in-person, instruction. But I can't get the best in the world. And whenever you're talking the metaverse, you might be able to actually get, I'm going to call it virtual in-person instruction, and they can teach me. And since it's beyond borders, I can pay them with crypto, right? And I don't have to worry about it hitting the bank and not getting to it. Crypto allows me to be able to do that. And in the end, maybe through all this education, whether it be doctor, music, coding, whatever, what if your diploma that you got at the end of this was in an NFT? Okay, so now we've got the diploma, we got the paper diploma that we have, and that can be forged, right? I know people will call and call your college up and say, hey, call your university up and say, hey, did they really go to this school? But you could have it verifiable on the blockchain, your education, to prove that you have it. And maybe you never even left your house to get it, right? And you would have there's some things that you need to be able to see to really understand it. And, a lot of these things could be done in a metaverse as well. So jobs, I think, without a doubt, just to answer your question, Relvin, I think without a doubt, you will be able to do jobs. Already this is being done with games, okay? Axie Infinity, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a metaverse game, okay? It's the biggest one out there. It's very popular. But there are people in, I believe, the Philippines where the cost of living is a lot less. Doesn't cost as much for the cost of living there. And those guys are playing Axie Infinity, making crypto from just playing. It's a play-to-earn game, so you play it and you earn crypto. They're actually making money enough to have a living where they live. So this is already happening where some people are making careers out of playing games. Now, you may live in a place that it costs more. If you live in the United States, that probably isn't going to fly. It's just the cost of living is higher. So you can play it and it might be, Taco Bell money, that sort of thing, but it may not be enough money to make an actual living. But the point is, the proof is there that it's already being done, that we're already seeing the metaverse kind of play out to where careers can be done within the metaverse. But as we grow it more, it's like a social, we need to hit a threshold first before it becomes enormous. Kind of like you mentioned YouTube, and you grew up in a social media time. YouTube had to have like a critical amount of users first before it could really go viral. If a metaverse only has 1,000 users in it, it's not really going to be able to go viral. It can get, if there's 1,000 users in a metaverse, it can get 1,000 bits of engagement, at least if everybody engages one time. But if there's 1 million people in there, eventually now you can really get to a critical mass. So the Facebook thing, even though I kind of hate it, that Facebook took our word, they took our term of the metaverse, I still like that they may help us get to that critical mass, that amount to where we can really have metaverses. But thing is, there's a lot of metaverses that are trying to be like the one that we all go into, and who knows who's going to win. I don't know that I want it to be Facebook that wins out of this. I want something to be more decentralized than Facebook. I want it to be where literally if I join in, I don't have to put in my name. I don't have to put anything that's identifying. I don't want anything like that. I want it to be completely decentralized. How about also, since I'm on the TRADERVERSE account here, trading stocks, investing, all of that could happen within the metaverse. I'm doing it right here to you now virtually. We're not in a metaverse, but we are, talking here on Twitter Spaces. We could do something similar, but us all in a room, right? Virtual. And then I could literally, let's say Who else in here? I see somebody named Joe, so I'm just picking on people that are in here. Let's say I see Joe in the room, and it's like, hey, Joe, I've got this NFT. It's kind of like where you have the big trench coat, and you open up the trench coat, and people can see all that you're selling and things. And I'm like, hey, Joe, it sounds dirty now whenever I'm saying it like that, but I've got this trench coat here, and open it up, and you can see my NFT. Which, again, sounds dirty. It's not. But yeah, and then you could see that, and I could show a room, almost like an art gallery of. Thank you, Joe, for giving me the piece. It's all good, right?
That's actually my brother.
Oh man. All right, I'm picking on one family here. That's kind of funny. But yeah, you could see the NFT, and almost like as an art gallery is, all right, here's what it is. I think for people that are artists, it's better to hear the story of well, during this time, whenever I wrote it, and we know this from like classical art, is I was really feeling troubled. I just had a relationship kind of crumble. I just had all these things happen to me, and that's why you see what you see on this painting. And then as a art appreciator, I might look at it and be like, oh, okay, I can see that that the angst written in this art. Okay, I can see all that, and now I can be able to tell you that while I'm showing you the NFT. And it may be a 3D NFT, one that you can literally walk around and see and appreciate. And that's really cool that you could possibly be able to, you could have art galleries like that. I think of the metaverse and NFTs are going to give us an appreciation of art that has never been here before. I say never been here before, that maybe we haven't seen since those times whenever those classical art pieces were made. Because now people are truly appreciating it, and we know they're appreciating it because they're giving their hard-earned money to be able to see it. And so because of that, it makes someone that may not care about art as much all of a sudden care about art a little bit when they realize like, oh, there's dollars behind this. People really do appreciate this so much to be able to give potentially millions of dollars worth of crypto to be able to get that. By the way, Rovan, this is your first Twitter space. Do I understand that right?
That I've like spoken on. Yes, like I've joined some, but I've never actually like engaged or participated.
What got into you to what did I say to get you to be able to do your virgin voyage to unmute your mic?
Well, my brother can also attest to this. I had just recently been really thinking about the metaverse and how I can benefit from it and what I can imagine. You kind of are thinking about it in the same way that I am. Like I'm trying to think of every possibility, and at the same time, I'm also acknowledging the fact that there might be things that I could have never even thought of that will be created out of this. In the same way that people 20 years from now did not ever think that what we have going on right now would have ever happened or would have ever been a possibility. So I'm trying to wrap my head around my thoughts and my ideas around the metaverse and what's possible, what I can think of that I maybe can, like an average person can't think of that could be possible. And so once I saw this room name, I was like, you know what? Like I just gotta know what it is about, and I joined.
That's well, welcome. First of all, I'm glad you're in here, and you're giving great insight into kind of what I'm saying, and it's good to be able to bounce back and forth with you. So I appreciate you in here as well as your brother Joe, who's always welcome to come up here and speak as well. But I'll give another example of things that kind of went forward more than we ever imagined. Long ago, someone made a mobile phone, right? And mobile phones at first, you had like this bag and this giant antenna, and it was just real clunky. But you could take it with you. You could take your phone with you, and now whenever you want to have a date with your significant other and you need a babysitter, you no longer have to say, "This is the restaurant I'm going to, and this is the number you can call the restaurant if there's something wrong." Now you're able to have mobility through that. But I don't think anybody, even AT&T or anybody else that first had their mobile phones, had any clue what this was about to become with mobile phones. I think we probably thought at first, this will be great. We can communicate with each other. We can talk on the phone anywhere. But that quickly, and I mean quickly, when you think about it, you're talking late 80s, 90s to 15 years later, it became, oh my goodness, look at what you can do with your phone. Imagine all the possibilities you can do with your phone. So again, what they imagined it to be was pretty cool. Okay. They can imagine it to be a pretty cool thing where you can call anybody anywhere in the world, or most anywhere in the world. So, I mean, there's a cell tower near you. And then, it became so much more where we basically have the internet in our pocket and unbelievable. But I think I'm trying to think of the industries that will be most impacted by the metaverse. And so, just like in the real world, it's probably where is the money flowing to? Okay. So, what industries are big in the real world? It's where people can make a lot of money, and people will therefore put their time and effort into that so that then that industry will grow. So whether it be entertainment or music, you see a lot of people flocking to entertainment or music in the real world because of that. So if we look in the metaverse, Let's think of what already we know of industries that could easily flip over to there and be big, that would have money. I think education, I've already mentioned that. I think education could be a huge thing within the metaverse because we know that education is big money. Call college a scam, if you will, and you may be right, but I'm just saying that it could switch that same type of model into the metaverse, and they could still do it, and maybe they could do it cheaper there. I don't know, but I do know that I own a few college degrees, more than one, and I'm talking to you here now. Uh, and they're good degrees, but I think in the future, holding a college degree may be not seen as like the pinnacle of your education. There may be like a certificate sort of a thing to prove you can do individual competencies. And there's no reason that couldn't be done in a metaverse, really. There's just no reason. But so education, I already said that. That's a big one. I think entertainment will be a big one. And then the one that I think we're going to see very, 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 very soon, we're talking like 2022, it's already here in 21, but it'll be big in 22, will be gaming. Gaming is already, I think I heard the stat that 3.5 billion people play games on their mobile phone right now. A little over 7 billion people worldwide. And we're talking almost half of them playing mobile games on their phone. That can move to a metaverse and to NFTs so easily. And there's so many advantages to doing it. Okay. I told you there's already people playing Axie Infinity, making a living in the Philippines already from playing games. Just to make a living playing games, you had to be freaking awesome at what you were doing. You had to be a professional gamer and get sponsorships, right? Or maybe be a gamer and you're streaming on Twitch or on YouTube and you can get paid that way. But now there will be a way for you to be able to play to earn. You play in, let's say I'm old, first of all. I used to play Mario Brothers, and I would get those coins that you jump around. I'm sure everybody's played it, even if you were born well after it came out, or you've played some iteration of it. You get the coins, and you turn off the computer, and you don't have those coins anymore. You turn off your box or whatever, or Nintendo if we're talking Mario, and you don't have those coins anymore. And now through this, through the way that we have it now, you can be able to get those coins that you have, and they actually may be worth something. You could trade them in an exchange for Bitcoin, and then from Bitcoin, well, you can do whatever you want to do with Bitcoin. Maybe you want to invest in something, invest in some altcoins. Maybe you want to cash it out for fiat for your local currency. All kinds of things just from playing games. Okay, so and if you're good at the games, it's play to earn. Maybe you could win even more. I was doing an AMA recently with some guys that were doing a racing game. And they were going to have it to where you could race for pink slips. And basically, if you lost the game, you lost the car you were in, which I don't know why. It's an NFT. It's a digital car. But I thought, I don't know that I want to play that. I don't know that I want to have play something where I could literally lose my digital car, which at this point doesn't hurt me at all if I were to lose the value that I have into it. But it kind of scared me a little bit. But yeah, so gaming, I think, will be, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, what industry could I get into if I want to make myself really into the metaverse? It's just look where the money is flowing into in the real world, and then look at which of those industries could translate to the metaverse. And I think, like I said, gaming and education are two of them that really quickly come to mind, as well as art. I think, imagine this. Now, this isn't in the metaverse. This is in real life, but it could be in the metaverse. But the ticket you have to get into a concert, you could easily make that on the blockchain. Maybe it's even better. You could have less counterfeiting happening if you could use a blockchain linked ticket to get into a real life concert. But then they have the wallet address of everybody that got into that venue. They could then send them an NFT of maybe an exclusive NFT that was only given to the attendees for that concert. Let's say I went to see Jay-Z in New York, right? His hometown, That's if you're not familiar with hip hop, that's where Jay-Z's from. And let's say I went there and it was blockchain ticketing, and then they gave me an exclusive NFT that was only available to those people that went there to see Jay-Z in his hometown. And they could give me an exclusive NFT, and that would be worth something because it would be rare. You could do something just like that in the metaverse, to where only the attendees at a certain event could get a certain NFT or a certain crypto, something. This is all about what is rare and what supply and demand. What is rare and what is there a demand for it? And if that's the case, there can be an economy of it. I mean, that's what we're looking for inside the metaverse. I mentioned earlier that I talked to the CEO of Star Atlas, and he said that you could run a gas station within the metaverse. That's because of supply and demand. People that are playing the game need fuel for their ships, and they're going to have to pay crypto, the crypto inside there to be able to, to buy that fuel. And if you are, like running a gas station, you have something that there is a demand for, and you can sell it. If you're making art that there is a demand for within the metaverse, you can make a career out of that. If you're doing education and people are falling all over themselves to get this one certain certification, then you can profit from that. Whatever you do in the metaverse, there's going to have to be a pretty good push of whatever your product or service is. But my thought is we all are early in this. So think about YouTube. The people that I don't know when like Jake Paul started or Mr. Beast or anything like that. I need to look into the history of that. But I know that they got into the or NKBHB. He got in very early doing like technology reviews. And it was before YouTube was like really big, really large. And them getting in early were kind of, they staked their claim and did something almost for just the love and passion of doing it. And they did really well in the end because of that, okay, because they got in early. The metaverse may be the same thing. Now, as a quick little aside, TRADERVERSE, okay, that the account that I'm speaking from right now, that's a social network that's about to come out as well. And it will have content creation for traders too. And this may be something that you want to look into as well. So follow the account, the TRADERVERSE account that I'm speaking from, so that you can kind of keep up with that. Because if you're a content creator or you just want to learn about trading, NFTs, metaverse, that sort of thing, follow this account. In that way, you can keep up with what's going on with it and be early to a social network. But if you're just early to the metaverse, since you're early, and if you pick the right industry, you pick the right metaverse to be in, the one that seems all the people are going into, and you've got a good service or product that you're offering within the metaverse, then you are golden. You are doing really well to be able to do that. So I think all of these things so fit together. And that's one of the things I like about doing this show is there's so many things, whether I'm talking about NFTs, metaverse, stocks, crypto, it all kind of fits into one pot so well, okay? Because everything we're doing now seems to be moving to digital, okay? Seems to be moving to something that we could all purchase with the computer, with our phone. And then everything seems to be moving to having a social aspect of it as well. We've got, I talked to Relvin, and then I picked on Joe earlier. I like that. I like to be able to have that social interaction with people. COVID kind of took that away from us. We didn't really have that with COVID and, being able to speak with people, at least face to face. The metaverse will allow for that. And so there may be even some monetary abilities within the metaverse just from social interaction. I mean, certainly we can see that with Twitter. There's certainly people that are professional clout people. They just know how to, build up their brand. Instagram is probably the best with that, where people are, whether it's a fashion blog or something like that. How about this? How about a runway for fashion within the metaverse, where somebody literally can show off the latest clothes, maybe that you can buy in real life, or maybe they are the latest, skins that you could wear in the game. If it's a clothes that you can wear in a battle, let's say it's new armor, you could literally have a fashion show within the metaverse, walking down the catwalk and everything, which sounds kind of silly, that somebody would walk down a catwalk. As we think about the future, a lot of times we're kind of hindered by what we think of things in the present. So right now, whenever I'm saying something about the catwalk, that's probably because my mind is so narrow of what I think a fashion show looks like, or what I think, but it could be completely different in the metaverse. Maybe I don't want to see, the beautiful person walking down the catwalk. Instead, just the clothes are being rotated and I can walk around them in 360 degrees. And maybe that's better. So again, we're kind of hindered by what we know and what we know to be normal. Okay. So it makes it a little more difficult to understand what's going to be a metaverse. Hey, there's Rue. What there's going to be in the metaverse that makes it to where is new and different to us, because we're a little bit hindered by what we see in real life. I appreciate it. Rue's joined us earlier this week. So we've done this TRADERVERSE talk all week. We've had every day and it's always been NFT talk because it's NFT and NYC week. And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I had Christine Barnum with me. And she has a massive following. I think she's over 40,000 followers on Twitter. So whenever she's in here with me, she really brings her crew with her. And I've seen Rue in here a lot of times whenever Christine is with her. But Rue's all around the net. So make sure you give Rue a follow, because always some good information that you can extract from Rue. So I appreciate you coming in here today, even whenever Christine is not in here. But yeah, we're talking about careers in the metaverse. and then just what the future of the metaverse could possibly hold. We've talked about different industries, whether it be fashion, whether it be music, whether it be art, or even education, and of course, gaming, could all be in the metaverse, and literally we could all be working there. I do think, as I talk about medical education, might we all suffer a few health consequences if every day to get to work we logged into the metaverse and did all of our job from there, but basically in real life sitting in our chair, sedentary and not moving. And maybe that doesn't change from how we are now. Maybe already in real life we, you know, get to the office or log in at home in your laptop in today's kind of telecommuting world and just sit in our chair. So maybe it's no different, but there could be some health effects, I guess is what I'm saying, by not being able to move around or anything like that within, but except for in the metaverse. Spence could be very, very changed from the metaverse. I could sit in the crowd, watch a sporting event, talk to you, say, "Oh wow, look at that pass, look at that dunk," and you could be right there next to me, being able to do that. And the ticket into it could be in the form of an NFT. But gaming is the one. As I'm just talking about the different metaverse things in the future, gaming is the one that's right in front of us. It's the one that's right in front of us, and we will be able. I think, as I already told you, that in the Philippines, some people are making livings from playing Axie Infinity. That's going to grow from there. It may not be Axie Infinity, it may be Star Atlas, it may be some different types of games, but gaming is going to be a thing where many people are able to earn pretty well from playing games, and that's completely different. I played games when I was a kid, and I got zilch. I got nothing, and I feel cheated. I'll be honest. I feel like I should have got something, some sort of all the hours I played, I should have got something, but I didn't. But this generation now, particularly, and I'm talking like single-digit age generation, that single-digit age generation, they're going to grow up in a world where blockchain and NFTs are just the way things are. You guys, you Gen Zers now, you grew up with, a phone in your hand. It's just, and I'm not, I know Gen Z takes a lot of heat sometimes, and I'm not giving you heat. I'm just saying you grew up in such a digital world that it's easy to, to maybe take for granted that that wasn't, a part of life before. But this, you weren't a part of life with NFTs and blockchain. You're going to look back. You're wondering how you're going to sound old someday. You're wondering how you're going to sound old someday. It's whenever you're talking to kids and saying, you don't understand what it was like whenever we didn't have ownership of our, art, or didn't have ownership of the things within our games. You don't know what it was like. And you're going to sound like, walked uphill both ways in the snow guy, as you're telling people what it was like for you. And then maybe you'll understand. And then your generation will be made fun of for being old and crotchety, like my generation is. So that's what's coming for you. Is you're going to sound old and not with it, because this next generation is going to grow up in an era to where decentralization, I think what I'm about to say is true. I can't say for sure, but where decentralization is commonplace, to where centralization is almost like something you read about in history books. I don't know. It depends how quickly. Maybe that's going to be a topic in the future of how long is it going to take for as close to complete decentralization as possible. My guess, it will take a bit of time, but the kids that are single digits right now, they may see that. They're going to be in a generation to where decentralization is more of the norm than the abnormality. They'll live in a time when NFTs and blockchain is just the way things are. Just like when you grew up, the way things are the World Wide Web. It's the internet. It's just the way it is. You don't think twice about it. And maybe the cycle goes on, because those parents of parents and parents used to talk about whenever there wasn't a telephone in their house and they had to send things by horseback. I don't know what I'm saying now, but yeah, my point is things are evolving more than you could have ever seen them evolve, and they're going to continue. And this is the next thing. But the big part of this, just like whenever the internet first came around, is there will be industries in this that people are going to be a part of. So the question is for you, if you're listening, do you want to be in the metaverse? Do you want to be a part of things to be a part of it? Relvin, I've talked for a little bit, and I don't want to just make it to. I hate it whenever somebody gets a guest and they make them the spotlight, and you may not want the spotlight on you. But hearing all this, you said you wanted to learn about the metaverse. Did this bring to mind any type of things that you were thinking, or did it more augment what you were already thinking?
Yeah, I do have to leave right after this because I have a meeting.
Yeah.
But I think it absolutely augmented all my ideas and thoughts. I've just been listening, and I think one of the big takeaways that I took from this was how you feel that this could really enhance education. You kind of gave me a visual of people sitting in the classroom, and they could literally be taken into the body and kind of shown things that they otherwise could not do in person. This could really change the way people learn, and maybe even give them a better education than they would have in person. So I agree. I think education could really be this could be a game changer for education.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe on another day I'll do just education talk, and we can talk about that. But I appreciate you coming in here. We'll wrap up here a little bit as well. We're up here. Oh, go ahead, Relvin, if you
Oh, no,
wanted
no,
to
I
say
was just
one
going to
more
say thank you. I had to go, but I appreciate the talk.
Oh, hey, no problem at all. Join us again. I'm here at this time every day, Monday through Friday, and yeah, join us again. Make sure you don't be a stranger.
Will do.
Rex, you were up here a while ago, and I had invited you up. If you wanna pop on, I don't mind speaking with you as well. But we've had a good talk here today. This has been a really good discussion of the metaverse and maybe the possibilities around it. One thing I want to remind all of you, I've said it enough, but and all of you may be following, but the account that I am speaking from right now, the TRADERVERSE account, TRADERVERSE IO, make sure you give it a follow so you can hear the rest of these talks. Monday through Wednesday, we'll probably have where Christine will be on here with me. And whenever she comes in here, yeah, she brings the heat because she is very good at what she does, but she has a massive following as well. So make sure you're a part of that. Rex, how you doing today?
Doing good. I just had to jump off because I was interviewing one of the guys that's doing the crypto push on Reddit. And he's talking about how Reddit is big on the metaverse and what they're trying to do to, get involved with like the crypto space and keeping the conversations on Reddit. I think you'll agree that like short form discussion for crypto happens on Twitter, but long form happens on Reddit. So they're all in. Alexis Ohanian is big into crypto. He's already like in a lot of projects, and so to see like the direction they're taking, Steve, is really exciting.
Yeah, that does sound exciting. And that's you brought up to mind something about just bringing up Reddit. I know Facebook obviously wants to get into the metaverse. And I haven't thought about it, but I'll bet you each competing social network wants to have their piece of the pie as well. So yeah, I don't know why I wouldn't have thought of that, but of course Reddit's gonna try to get in on that and try to make their own metaverse because it's a Reddit is such a completely different world than Facebook, and it's almost two different groups and maybe even different generations that are part of there, which makes it unique and different. So yeah, I appreciate that insight. I hadn't even really thought of it like that. Rue, how you doing today?
Hey, my man, how you doing, TRADERVERSE?
Man, I am doing fantastic. We're just talking a little bit about some metaverse
Yeah.
stuff. Got any thoughts on where we're headed with all this?
Yes, smart. I wasn't gonna jump in because I didn't have much time because I'm working on a few things, but I had to jump in on this conversation because it's such an interesting topic around education and just where metaverse is with all the different, big players and etc. And I'll make 2 points. With kind of where we're at right now, and you have all these big companies like Reddit, Amazon, Facebook, trying to create their own metaverse. And metaverse for me is kind of like one place. There's no real niche to me. I mean, there can be, but I feel like you can. I just had a call.
Okay, I was like,
No, I just had a call. I think it stopped me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're there.
Okay, so like, and this is just my opinion around it. Is there, and I would like to hear people's perspective. Is there going to be one metaverse that does it right, or will there be niches within the metaverse? Obviously, there will be, but in my head, in the future, there will be a metaverse that dominates, that allows us to do whatever we feel that we can achieve through the metaverse. And it'll operate in a sense of a monopoly because it just does everything right. But if we see all these big brands creating their metaverses, like I'm really interested to kind of put some thought around how is that going to play out, because in my head, again, metaverse is just one space where you can do pretty much everything, that replicates reality into a virtual world. And I would like to hear you guys kind of thought around that.
Yeah, as I think about it, as you're saying it, there's two competing forces here. And again, it seems it always comes to centralization and decentralization. But we've got the centralized services that Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, all those, and I'm sure all of them will want to have their own metaverse, and one of them will win out of that centralized component. Then I've got the other side where I could just talk about different blockchains, because we're already seeing this play out in the blockchain world of, is it Solana? Is it, the different blockchains? Which of those are going to be the one that is predominant? And we're kind of seeing that kind of fight right now. Everybody's wanting, this is the best place for this type of smart contract, and this is the best place for this type of smart contract. And we're seeing that get a little bit niched. So as we get into a metaverse, what's going to win? Is it going to be like Rue just said, where it is niche to where is it one metaverse for education and another metaverse is a little bit better for just entertainment and social, and another metaverse is better for gaming? Is that the case? Or is it to where it's all interlinked and it's almost like, if I'm talking, I have my NFT of my awesome car that I have that I can, drive to each place. And granted, it's not like you need to have a physical feeling of driving going to them, but is there going to be different places where I can easily go from one to another and it's just a network of interlinked metaverses that I can get to each other? Or does competition make it to where there's one main one? Now, if you watched the holy Bible of metaverses right now, Ready Player One, the movie. So I'm going to go to a little bit of arts and entertainment here. If we've seen that, it looks like they called it the Oasis in that book. It's one main one. They don't really talk about other metaverses in there, but I'm sure in that world there would be other ones in there. But yeah, I don't know who would win and if the people will decide. Is it going to be centralized? Is Facebook going to be so dominant and have so much money behind theirs that they can win? Or is it going to be decentralization to where we feel like, no, this generation, the generation before it, isn't going to go to Meta or whatever they call their metaverse. I guess they're just calling it Meta. We're going to go to this other one, and that makes it win. So I think it'll be a combination between will of the people and then dollars, and then the almighty currency, whether it's be dollars or crypto. Wherever the value goes, that's where the people will follow. So I'll be real interested to see that fight.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think we had a conversation on that last night on Facebook, naming taking the name Meta to kind of give people who haven't comprehended the space yet. And obviously, blockchain in general has a very small population that has adopted it so far. So with Facebook mass following of billions of people that utilize the app or the platform, they're going to have a huge onboarding, and they're going to see Meta or Facebook as Metaverse, because that's why they took that name, so people can see it as being Metaverse. They won't be able to comprehend anything else, because that's what introduced them to what a Metaverse was. And I think that's kind of the play on names is the topic that we was discussing. So when they start onboarding people and people start kind of understanding the Metaverse and adopting it, they will only know it as Facebook, and they won't see it as just a general space, virtual world. It isn't just connected to Facebook, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's their way of kind of being the central connection to what when everybody ends up adopting it, they'll see it as Facebook in the future. And that's such a huge thing for me, simply because when we do have this mass adoption within the world, Facebook has probably the biggest opportunity to truly be the centralized organization for the metaverse, just based off their name, because that's how people are going to adopt it, just through the name, because they see it as metaverse, which is relating back to Facebook.
Well, and they definitely have that brand name that people will be aware of, and it'll push the industry forward. And they almost are going to, they've taken the term metaverse. In my part of the U.S., a lot of times if you get a soda, you'll say, "Do you have a Coke?" And yeah, I'll take a Coke. What kind? And it doesn't necessarily mean a Coca-Cola. It could mean a Sprite. It could mean all kinds of things, because they've got that brand name associated with just literally a carbonated beverage means a Coke. So they have that name association with that. And I think Facebook, Meta, could have that same sort of association as we're talking metaverse, and we're basically saying a brand name because they did this. They're basically saying a brand name without us doing anything, without us intending for it to. So yeah, they've got definitely a lot of power to be able to do that. Both from they have a lot of money, and let's face it was a smart business decision by them to choose that metaverse term. And I'm sure they've trademarked it now and everything like that. And is it going to be a point where I can't say the word metaverse and it's going to be like intellectual property or something like that? I hope not. I've also seen a discussion on Twitter of maybe we, as those in this space, need to come up with a different term than metaverse, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen either. I've seen the cryptoverse, or how about I got the traderverse. So yeah, all kinds of things that we can do there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been fantastic. There we go. Hope y'all can hear some applause there. I told everybody I've got some sound effects today, so yeah, hope y'all enjoy some applause there. But I've enjoyed talking with each and every one of you today. If you want to keep on meeting with us this week or next week, please join in about this time. We're going to do it for an hour every day, and we'll have some fantastic discussion. So I appreciate every one of you, and I will see you next week.